all that history. I gave you all that information because as you go through the week, see, it's going to start talking to you. It's going to start speaking to you. You got to first know the story before you get to Revelation. You got to first know the what? Know the story. And then once you know the story, you'll catch the revelation. So he is number 2 in charge. And the first thing I want you to know is God can literally take you from the bottom of life and put you on top. God can take you from hell and place you in heaven. God can take you from having tears in your eyes to having smiles upon your face. I don't know where you are in certain areas of life where you are down. And I'd love for you to come visit City of Faith Church because this is an atmosphere through which you can learn. I want you to know in short season, you're going to have to get here early. There are not going to be any seats. Not going to be long. Now, what I want you to do is test me by keep coming, but make sure you come early. Because God's going to fill up every seat in here. He's not only going to fill up every seat at the 10 a.m. service, Curtis. He's going to fill up every seat at the 8 a.m. service. I mean, there's not going to be a seat. He's going to do it. See, he'll take you from having empty chairs all over. And overnight is what it seems like. He'll just fill them up. I can remember the Sunday before Easter. There may have been 20 people in here for Easter. And then on Easter Day, there were hundreds of people. And I started seeing just a little bit of the vision. Just a little bit of the vision manifested. But it was more exciting to the other individuals because I already believe that God's going to fill it up. I want you to understand that God is going to do some things for you to prove to you that faith really does work. Have you ever had anything crazy happen to you in your life? I was talking to my sister the other day, and she felt like reminiscing for whatever reason. And she began to talk about strange things that happened in my life. She began to talk about the time I had a brand new car, and hey, I couldn't pay for it, but I got it. God blessed me with it. And I got that brand new car. I could not pay for that car. Listen, don't you do this now. But I paid a few payments. And then the old preacher was struggling trying to pay the payments. That was 20 years ago. But I couldn't pay the payments on the car. It was difficult, paying the house note and paying the payments. And so you know how you duck and dodge and hide the car, make sure you put it in the garage and close it really, really tight. And so anyway, I get a phone call from the lien holder. And I said, boy, they're trying to find my car. I know they're trying to come repossess my car. So anyway, I had my sister call for me because I knew they were going to repossess my car. So she called, and they said the car was paid off. And she told me it was paid off. I said, no, they're trying to set us up. The car not paid off. Anyway, make the long story short, the car was paid off. And she told me the other day the bank that they said paid it off. I said, hey. And then she went to another story. And she said, you remember that same car? You had full coverage insurance on it. You let mama drive it. And remember it broke down on the way to Columbia, South Carolina? There's a road there called I-20. It's about an hour from Augusta and Columbia, South Carolina. About an hour, 60 miles. And on that way, that Interstate 20, it broke down. So they parked the car on the side. Somebody came and picked them up. And the very next day, the car was not there. So they began to call the police department. And they said, we're sorry, that car was totaled. Well, I needed some money. I was preaching and teaching in Alabama. And I sure needed some money. And I wasn't driving the car anyway. And I got a check for $9,000 or $10,000. That's that double blessing on that car now. I couldn't even pay it. Somebody paid it off. They sent me the title. Not only did they send me the title, sometime later, the car was totaled, and they sent me a check. And then she went to another story. And then she went to another story. Hey, have you ever bumped into a millionaire before? And you found a really good friend in the millionaire? And y'all just became really good buddies. Have you ever had that kind of thing happen? And then you look in the bank account and you got 19 cents. Well, anyway, but you got 19 cents. And then the next day you look and you got $20,000 and 19 cents. You ever had that happen before? $20,000 and 19 cents. Now, I didn't get this out of a storybook. I didn't Google stories on faith. I'm just talking to you about life, man. And I'm telling you something that I hope you hear. See, when you are weak in your faith, when you are a new Christian, that's a beautiful thing. Why? Because now God got to prove himself to you. Now, the more mature you become, the less he has to prove it to you. Because he has already given you point of reference is what it's called. He's already given you something to help you remember, yep, he did it one time, he'll what? Man, he'll do it again. But when you are new in the faith, when you're new living by faith, when you're new walking by faith, man, you ought to shout. Why? Because God going to do it. He's going to do some amazing things for you. You can't even imagine. You can't even imagine what God's going to do. And then he'll start blessing people by your word. I probably have sent about, 10 or 11 people to get calls in the last few months. Man, my credit bad. Hey, I don't know nobody. Man, go get the call. God's going to give it to you. Pastor, you think? Hey, man, God's going to give it to you. They go to the car lot, and guess what happened? God gave it to them. And now they got this wonderful testimony of what God did. Did I tell you the time that they told my wife she couldn't have a child? Did I tell you about that story? You know, she can't have a child, Jason. She had a certain condition. They say the only way this condition can be healed, Jackie, is if you have a child. But the funny thing about it, that condition you have, you won't have a child. She boo-hooing in the doctor's office and all that kind of stuff. This is about 12, 15 years ago. Boo-hooing in the doctor's office, just crying. I said, hey, wait a minute. He gave his opinion. Thank you. Let's get up out of here. Because that's his opinion. I acknowledge his opinion. I just don't accept it. I believe God is able. Now, it wasn't a short period later. We had the first child. No artificial stuff that you got to put in there. No vitamins or none of that happened. The Holy Spirit said, and now you're pregnant. And it was so fast, I really ain't believe it at first. I'll just be honest with you about that part. But pregnant. And now to this day, we have 2 children. This is the same woman. They said they couldn't have it. I just want you to understand that God chooses to do extraordinary things in your life to reveal to you the power of faith. And in this lesson, in the life of Joseph, we see God doing some extraordinary things. Now, I want you to look at the father here. Look at the father here, okay? Verse 1. When Jacob, that's the daddy, learned that there was grain for sale in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you look at one another? 2. And he said, behold, I've heard that there is grain for sale in Egypt. Now, the first thing I want you to understand about the person of faith, the person of faith, the true person of faith, they are waiting on God's answer. They are